What if your idea of happiness was never really yours? Today, I don't want to talk about the usual cliches. I want to talk about how happiness became one of the biggest business models in the world, and why we've been taught to believe it's always one more goal away. Now let's go back to Easter morning 1929 in New York. Thousands of people were walking down Fifth Avenue when suddenly a young woman pulled a cigarette out of her pocket. Moments later, the women next to her did exactly the same thing. The next day, every newspaper was talking about one headline: "Women light up to celebrate their freedom." And right there, one of the most profitable ideas in modern history was born. The truth is, every one of those women had been placed there on purpose. Everything was carefully planned. Journalists had been tipped off in advance. Even the cigarette brand had been chosen beforehand. The man behind it all was Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew and one of the pioneers of public relations. So why did they do it? At the time, the American Tobacco Company had a huge problem. Women didn't smoke, and they were missing out on half the market. Most advertisers would have tried to sell cigarettes by talking about taste or price. But Bernays discovered something much bigger. People weren't buying products. They were buying emotions. So he rebranded the cigarette as the torch of freedom, linking smoking with the feeling of freedom itself. The campaign was an enormous success. Cigarette sales skyrocketed. But the real lesson wasn't about selling more cigarettes. It was Bernays' formula. If you can connect a product to a powerful emotion, people stop buying the product and start buying the emotion. From that day on, companies didn't sell us cars. They sold us freedom. They didn't sell us watches. They sold us status. And most importantly, they sold us happiness. Let's jump forward to 2009. The world was going through one of the biggest financial crises in history, yet Coca-Cola launched a campaign with just 3 words: open happiness. Did it make logical sense? Probably not. Did it work? Absolutely. They became synonymous with happiness itself, increasing their brand value by roughly $64 billion. So why does this work so well? Are we just that naive, or is there something else going on? The answer is actually hidden in the way our brains work. The human brain evolved to chase the next goal. The mechanism is surprisingly simple. Whenever you want something, your brain releases dopamine. Today, most people think dopamine is the happiness chemical. It isn't. Dopamine is much closer to a go-get-it chemical. It doesn't make you enjoy the reward. It makes you chase it. Then you finally get what you wanted: a new phone, promotion, your dream car. For a few days, it feels amazing. But then what happens? Your brain starts looking for the next target. That feeling slowly fades away. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, our brain's tendency to normalize what we already have incredibly quickly. The problem isn't that you're ungrateful. The problem is that your brain is designed to keep wanting the next thing. And Bernays figured this out almost 100 years ago. A person who feels completely satisfied doesn't buy the next product. That's why the system isn't designed to keep you miserable. It's designed to keep you almost happy, but never quite there. Over time, this idea spread far beyond advertising, into culture: a better school, a better job, better life. Today, that same system is controlled by something even more powerful: algorithms. Your phone probably knows you better than your own mother. It knows what you envy, what you hate. In 2021, former Meta employee Frances Haugen leaked the company's internal research. Meta already knew that Instagram was making body image issues and suicidal thoughts worse among teenage girls. But they kept growing. Why? Because unhappy users scroll more. More scrolling means more ads. The system Bernays built in 1929 evolved into an algorithm by 2012. Now it's free. It's always with you. So what's the real answer? Back in 1938, Harvard University set out to answer that exact question. They followed 724 people for an incredible 85 years. The conclusion was surprisingly simple. Long-term happiness wasn't about money or a bigger house or status. The strongest predictor of happiness was the quality of our relationships. Robert Waldinger, one of the study's directors, summarized it in one sentence: good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. The funny thing is, this wasn't actually new. Aristotle and Epicurus had already said the same thing more than 2,000 years ago. We just spent decades of research proving they were right. Maybe our biggest mistake wasn't trying to be happy. Maybe our biggest mistake was believing happiness was always waiting at the next goal. I'm not going to tell you to stop buying things or stop setting goals either. Your brain will always want something to chase. But there is one question worth asking yourself. Do I truly want this? Or was I taught to want it? Research consistently shows that the happiest people have a few things in common: deep relationships, meaningful work, and moments where they completely lose themselves in what they're doing. Maybe happiness was never a destination. Maybe it's simply finding something that makes life worth living. So let me ask you one last question. What makes your life worth living?